Okay, everybody. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to color blend to get this effect with polish. And then also for the next phase, you will need your stamping tools and your preferred stamping plate. I'll show you what I'm going to be using when we get to that. And you will need a dotting tool, whether it's a toothpick or something like this. And I have a brush like this that I dip in a little bit of remover, and what that does is gives me the opportunity to blend the polish without trying to gob it on with these. So you're going to use these colors, and what I did was I got a true red, which is number 18 cherry red, which is Sally Hansen. I got the white, which is actually called sheer. I got the white by Pure Ice, which is called Sheer Ice. And then Black Expressionism by Finger Paints. So you can use your favorites, but these are just some options of some regular over-the-counter available polishes that work in these colors. And I'm going to show you on this tip. It's a little bigger. It's a little easier to show you. Be able to get a similar effect playing with a sponge, and something like this works really well just for blending the edges. And you always again want to start with the white, and I'm just kind of pulling it around like I would the acrylic. And you do want to use a little excess polish, not so much that it's all over your hands, but you definitely need a little extra. Now again, go from the opposite side with your red. And there is going to be some blending, and you do want that. That's a good thing. And here's what I was telling you. I take the brush, and it's kind of heavily coated with remover, and I just dollop it around a little bit. And at first you're going to have like a distinct pink line with the red line, but then what you can do is take a small amount of your red and put it to that side again, and then use your brush not dipped again in the remover, and after going from side to side, barely touching it, you want to pull the polish up from cuticle to tip this way. And you're gonna have to let this dry before you can continue, and it at least has to set a little bit more before you can go in and make that red a little more red on that corner there. So that's going to be your next step. And the way you do that is you just take a little more. It's okay to work thin and you know, layers until you get the hang of it. And you take the brush and just gently pat and spread. Don't try to brush it. If you brush it, you're going to get the same look you just had. And then I can always go back like we do with the acrylic with the white and stretch it across. So at first it's going to give you a look that maybe you're like, I'm not sure about, but don't worry. Your top coat's going to create a really pretty effect with that. And you can always go over it with a little bit of a thin hollow top coat that will give you a little bit of blending as well. And what you want to do is work backwards. I know that this is going to be a difficult phase for people, because it's not natural to work backwards on your nails. But you want to take it about halfway down the size of your nail. But if your nails are really short, a little tip is don't go too far. And I'm going to take my brush, dip it in the remover. And then first I go backwards, and then I'm going to go forwards. but this time with a little bit of a dolloping motion, pulling the excess off the edge. So it's going to look a bit like this. And then normally you want to wait a little bit longer, let that dry just a little more. But for the purpose of time, I just want to show you. And then you're going to go back over it. So it's going to be a little bit of a process of layering when you do it with polish. A little more layering than the acrylic. And you can always take your darker red there and use your red to blend your black. And then you're going to get little streaks in it, which is good because that's what it looks like with the acrylic. It's a really strong silver polish. I happen to really love Radiance from the DS series just because it's so strong and it stamps really, really well. And then you're going to need a black polish. For the purpose of time and it drying quickly, I'm going to use the Conad Special Stamping Polish in black. But we know that like Sally Hansen's Extreme in black works really well. Anything thicker will work really well. You do want to have a cotton gauze or padded, whatever you like to use for your removers, with the remover on it, and a dry one because you need to be able to dry the plate off. It will work better. You will need a dotting tool like this or a toothpick, or you can use paper clips too. You can open a paper clip up. And you're also going to have to go back and use your white again because you're going to be doing the dots with the white and silver as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to stamp at a downward angle, and I'll show you, in black and silver, the vines. And you're going to put 2 or 3 on each nail, depending on the size of your nails and the length of your nails. You want to make sure your stamping pad is very clean. Well, and just like this, you want to take it and run it at an angle across the nail, and you're going to get something that looks about like this. And I'm going to go ahead and do the silver one on this nail because I'd like you to be able to see the look that we're going for when you're stamping, so you can pick your positions. And this one you want to kind of angle it opposing, and they can overlap, and you can even put another one down in here. If you're going to do one close to the cuticle, I do really recommend that you use a Q-tip to remove some of the excess design dipped in remover, just so that you don't have such a hectic cleanup. So you're going to take it like this, and you'll just remove all of your excess there. You just keep a little bit and run it over that corner there. And see, you have nothing to clean up when you do it that way. And even if you have some, it's not going to be that bad. So we want to do one more silver one because this is my thumb, so it's a little larger than my other nails. And you can play with it. This is another reason you want to use your top coat as a base coat. And you don't want it to cover the entire nail. You want to leave it where you can kind of see what's going on. And then I'm going to go ahead and move to the next step so that I can show you. You want to take a liberal amount of white polish and put it on a pad or a plate or whatever it is you like to use when you're doing your dotting. And you want to take something with a medium tip. It could be, you want to make sure first of all that it's very clean. It could be this size or this size, but nothing smaller and nothing larger, or you're going to end up with kind of a blobby mess. You're going to take your white polish and you're going to take your dotting tool, and in a small arch you want to create dots like this. You're going to do this also in silver, and it can absolutely overlap your stamping a little bit. That's not a problem. It's the look that you want to go for. That's what you do your dots with. Be careful though not to overdot, because I've noticed that that's a problem I think a lot of us have, is that we get excited about the dotting tool and we overdot our artwork. And you want to make your silver ones a little more curly looking than your white ones, like this. Okay, so now I've completed this whole hand, and this is the design, and I'll do the still shots and show you the still shots, and I'll put the one in that I did before that has a little more red in it, and this one. But as you can see, as you get close up to it, now your spots that looked imperfect look blended. And that's simply from the stamping, the dotting, and the top coat. It masks it. So you don't want to over blend it before you do that. So this is your before and after. And I just want to show you really quick how you can blend your actual nail polish just a little bit. So what we're doing is you take your red and your white, and you take a very small amount, just kind of put it on where your cuticle area is for your white and your red. And you want to make sure your polish is totally dry before you attempt this method, because you don't want to literally take it off. I'm taking a little piece of sponge and remover. And notice I did not put black on there, because the black will begin to blend and come off on its own. And you can work the colors into each other in that zone where the black is. But just like the acrylic, you want a little bit of imperfection. So now I've blended it and it looks a lot more like these. And that's with polish. And then you're going to do the same stamping method on your polish as you do your nails. And I do recommend, again, in this process, use a top coat as a base coat, so that if you happen to ruin a stamp, you can remove it much easier and not have to do this polish process all over again. So it is one of these designs that is a little more time consuming, but the result is beautiful. It's actually, to me, a little faster to do it with the acrylic, but that's because I, do them, so I'm a little more comfortable with it. But if you're playing with acrylics, it's a great one to try. But see, now with the top coat, it looks very much like the other nails. So I'm going to let this dry. We're going to come back, and I'm going to put the design on this for you, because it's a little larger. That way you can see how it's done, and then we'll be done. And see how this is almost identical now? And all you have to do to blend is to take a small amount of your red and a small amount of your white, bring it up on the nail like you did before, dip your sponge in a little remover, dollop it. Don't add black, because the black will just take over again. So you want to work these two up towards the black. Apply a top coat, and they'll look like this. And when your nails dry completely, you're going to do your stamping. Okay, so there we are. And you can see it looks just like what's on my hands, only bigger. And this is the base. And that's how your polish should look, or your acrylic.